believe we're live. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. All right, we're live there. Let's see if we're live on YouTube. Ba-da-ba-ba. All right, we're live. Wait for the folks to trickle in on this Sunday, November 8th. The apocalypse has not come yet.
Oh my God.
Why don't you?
Wow, they slapped a thingy on our.
Why don't you move? Oh, it's based on me moving. What's going on here? I'm trying to figure out why that's doing that. Very strange.
It's because I'm an angel, and that's my halo.
Oh well. All right. Oh, 83 people watching already.
He's not going to acknowledge that that's my halo. But
that's your halo.
Thank you.
Can we send a text message?
I'm going to.
Wonderful. The dirty centrists are pissing me off. What's up, folks? The centrists are pissing me off too.
Hello from Delaware. Shout out to Delaware. I'm from Delaware.
And the propaganda is already thick. Hi, folks. Don't kill my buzz, Jordan, please. Are you buzzed? Or just...
If you have a buzz, I'm so jealous.
Smash that like button. It's a Sunday afternoon here on the East Coast. We want to have a wonderful live stream here with lots of joy, lots of truth. Hopefully some money can be raised. Keep it coming. Start coming in the super chat. Also, definitely our GoFundMe is rocking and rolling. We definitely are growing. We're almost at 95,000 now.
Yay.
95,000.
So close to 100,000. I think we're going to do it pretty soon.
Yeah, we're almost at 95,000 subscribers, so that's exciting. So if you are new here, definitely subscribe. President Trump is still, living in the world of Oz.
He went back golfing again. So.
Yes, he went back golfing, ranting about election fraud, stealing the election, and all those things. Mm-hmm. So maybe we'll address that a little bit. Yeah. But I think the main thing is that the corporate Democratic establishment, instead of somberly saying, "Wow, we kind of barely eked out a victory against a, fascist, psycho, barely eked out a victory in Pennsylvania, in Michigan, in Wisconsin, looks like barely eking out a victory in Arizona, in Nevada, the margin is not big." Instead of exploring why it is that Donald Trump got increased among black people by 4%, increased among Latinos among 4%, they're just going hardcore to blame progressives, socialism, and defund the police for why the Democrats lost seats in House of Representatives and why the Democrats might not retake the Senate. So we're going to establish fact versus fiction. R. David getting us started in the super chat. Love you guys. Keep the faith. Love you too, R. David. Thanks for the $20.
Thank you so much.
Really appreciate it. Yes, those super chats are very welcome. The past week or so of traveling, the past several months of traveling, definitely adds up financially for us. We have a lot of costs, including the travel. So definitely, if you're feeling super today, let us know in the super chat.
And your super chats energize us. Hopefully we can be high. We won't be low energy, Jeb, for you, but we're tired. We are so tired. We've been not only covering the election live, we've been in the field covering the election, but in between, the part you don't see is constantly watching corporate media, so you don't have to, constantly refreshing our phones. I have so many alerts and notifications going on my phone. It's crazy.
And how long did we spend in a waiting room this morning waiting for a coronavirus test?
Gosh. OMG. So we went yesterday, and this is part of the story too. So we went yesterday. Anne-Marie Cunningham, thank you so much, Anne-Marie. So yesterday, every trip, we don't have any COVID signs. We have no signs of COVID. But after every trip, we do the responsible thing, every reporting trip, and we go and get a COVID test because as part of our reporting, we do have to put ourselves in situations where we are around people and we're in a pandemic. So we immediately go and get a COVID test. We went yesterday and they were out. So we went first thing this morning and they said, okay, we still have tests, but there's going to be a wait. 3 hours later, and by the way, I don't know what time it was that they ran out, but not that long after we got there, again, first thing in the morning, they were out of tests. So it took around 3 hours for us to actually get our tests. And once again, they ran out of tests. And the only reason for that, the only possible reason for that is because the cases are rising so dramatically that these facilities are running out of tests. It's scary. It's really scary.
128,000 cases yesterday, which is a record. There's been basically a record number of cases for 3 days in a row. So we'll get to that. Of course, somebody just made a comment, important to remember, Trump might have been defeated. Trumpism is not going anywhere. Yeah, we've been saying that. Trumpism's not going anywhere. Frankly, I think what Trump is doing right now, which is emails and text messages calling about fraud and we need to fight, might actually create a dangerous situation. So I think, I don't want to be dramatic, call it a new civil war. Apparently there's going to be MAGA or Stop the Steal rallies all over the country this coming week. As somebody who has actually covered election fraud, for those of you who followed me a couple years ago, I was on the ground in 2016 during the New York primary when there was actually election fraud. As somebody who was on the ground in Iowa during the Democratic primary this year, and the whole app fiasco, to me, that was actually fraud. Mm-hmm. You look at online, they're literally just regular people, Bernie people, are putting up the delegate sheets and showing that, wait a minute, they're reporting these precincts as going to Biden or Buttigieg or whomever, but Bernie actually won these precincts. There's actual proven examples of election fraud that I have found. In this case, and unfortunately, we even have to say this to some so-called progressive media, there's no proven election fraud. Like seeing things on Twitter or seeing, Rudy Giuliani's rantings at a press conference or like isolated incidents here and there, that's not proof of anything. And I think it's unfortunate because we've seen even people in progressive media that are so hardcore anti-Democrat that they can't even acknowledge that Biden won the election legitimately. I mean, I won't name the channel, but I saw one channel ranting that it's a fact. There's election fraud and calling other progressive channels sellouts for not covering it, basically saying we're not covering it because it would help Trump. And it's no, I'm not covering it because I haven't seen anything.
Right.
A couple a county in Michigan where votes flipped from Trump to Biden because of a glitch, and then the county switched it back, and apparently other counties that use the same equipment are looking at it. That's not fraud. Sometimes there's actual legitimate glitches.
Well, and on an update to that story, the reporting on that is strange in any case because they now are saying it's human error. So we've said it over and over in all of our post-election coverage. Absolutely, if there are instances of election fraud or voter fraud, which are, of course, two separate things, call it out, report it. It is important to protect the integrity of our elections. But that doesn't mean just taking every single claim that the alt-right puts out there and claiming that it's news. And for those who like to come on our chats or whatever and say, oh, you guys are fake news, you're not even looking into these claims of election fraud, you don't actually care about our democracy, which, by the way, we don't have a democracy. But no, do you know how many hours I've spent on freaking Parler and Breitbart? And I've been looking into all these psychotic claims. And I'm here to tell you, I've been watching Rudy, I've been watching them all, I am looking into this stuff. It's just not credible, okay? If there's something credible, we will be the first to tell you. We promise you. We promise you. If you see something credible, not crackpot shittery, email us, info@statuscoup.com. We promise you. We are here to report the facts, whether it helps Trump or whatever. We tell you we don't like Trump, but facts are facts, and election integrity is election integrity. So don't come at us and tell us we're not looking into things, that I am losing sleep because I am looking into it.
Well, I think it's interesting. By the way, we got 530 people watching right now, so smash the like button. It's the thumbs up right under the live stream. Even if you don't like us, fake it. You know, it's
But
interesting.
how could you not like us?
Because I also think, like, there's some outlets that are so, like, I have to be more against the Democratic Party than anyone else. That they get blinded and they don't look at things on a case-by-case basis. They just think it's fraud, period. Everything's fraud. Everything. And it's like...
Patrick Smith, go fuck yourself and get off our stream then. Bye.
Yeah, like, it's just hilarious to me because, like, you know, if you don't just push conspiracy nonsense, you're a sellout. If you made a personal decision to vote for Biden, you're a sellout. Even though I criticize Biden like till election day. It's not like I took a day off from criticizing Biden. I didn't change my coverage. I just decided to vote for him. There's just this weird extremist thing happening on the left, or people that claim to be left. And like, I've seen certain channels like that are saying like, I'm more progressive than like channels like this. And like there's proof of election fraud. And I watched like 15, 20 minutes of their live stream and they offer no proof. They just offer like an isolated county in Michigan or something here as some type of sign that there was this grand conspiracy in all the states that Biden won to take it away from Trump. That's not journalism. That's just conspiratorial speculation. And it's unfortunate because some people watch it. But the truth of the matter is, Biden did win. We're about to take apart the Democratic Party narrative because he didn't win for the reasons that they're claiming he won. And most importantly, Democrats in the House and the Senate didn't lose because of progressives, which they're trying to pin the blame on the defeats of corporate Democrats on socialism or defund the police, which is ridiculous. It's completely ridiculous. So anyway, keep smashing that like button. Thanks for the super chats. If you think we're sellouts, you don't have to watch. That's fine. We don't really care.
Definitely keep those super chats coming. I'm saving them all in a notes file, so don't think we're missing them. If I do happen to miss one, just at me at Status Coup, and I will see it. Before we dive into the news, I want to say rest in peace, Alex Trebek. I love Alex Trebek. Many, many, many happy memories sitting on the couch with my amazing grandfather who knew every single answer. So shout out to Alex.
But this is the point. This is the comments I'm talking about. There's no proof except for the isolated proof. There's two different things for the trolls who are here or whatever, who think we're missing something or not looking into it. There's two different things. You could have isolated incidents in certain counties or certain states where either intentional fraud happened or there was just glitches, right? That could be true. There was a glitch in Michigan with a county and votes did switch from Trump to Biden. The county switched those votes back to Trump. And the other counties that use the same software are looking at the software and making sure that the votes weren't wrongly switched there too. So you could have incidents, whether it's intentional or not, of where votes were wrongly taken from Trump and given to Biden, or where maybe in one area there wasn't enough legal observers. Sure, those things could be true. That's very different than what Trump, the Republicans, Rudy Giuliani, and frankly, some quote-unquote progressive outlets are putting out there, that there was a widespread, coordinated conspiracy in many, many states to, like, give dead vote, give Biden the votes of dead people, of keeping out election observers, Republican election observers, of allowing more ballots that were sent in after Election Day. We were on the ground in Philadelphia. A lot of these people ranting about these conspiracies don't leave their home. We were just in Philadelphia. We spoke with a Republican who was inside the ballot counting. She was inside the building, the Philadelphia Convention Center, observing. She said, there's plenty of Republican legal observers, and she was a Trump supporter telling us that. She said there are Republican observers. She said, frankly, I think Corey Lewandowski trying to storm in was a publicity stunt. There was no like Republican observers being blocked from coming in because we were there. We actually spoke with a Republican observer inside the building. So this is kind of the conspiracy nonsense that unfortunately some progressives are getting wrapped up in. Two things could be true. Did they steal it from Bernie in 2016? Was there fraud? Yes! I've covered that for 4 years. Did they steal it from Bernie in Iowa this year? Yes. Is in general their election fraud and the DNC rigs it against progressives? Yes. The problem is when you take those previous things, and you take that, and then your operating principle, not actually requiring proof, is just to say, yeah, there's fraud. It's all fraud. Every election is fraud. To just say, because you've seen some, like, we posted it this morning. I interviewed a nice guy in Philadelphia. I don't know, he seemed reasonable, who was telling me, yeah, there's fraud because I see it on Twitter. And I asked him, like, okay, I see a lot of things on Twitter. That doesn't make it fraud. That just means people are passing shit around. But like, as somebody who's actually exposed election fraud in the first place, like, I'm not seeing actual election fraud. I'm not seeing enough fraud and a grand conspiracy that would have flipped Pennsylvania, Michigan, Wisconsin to Trump. There's no evidence of that. And as a journalist, if you consider yourself a journalist, because you could just be a crackpot commentator going for clicks, but if you consider a journalist, you don't state speculation as fact. Yeah. You don't state, wishful desires as fact. Why is it that when Trump won in 2016, none of the MAGA people were ranting about election fraud when he won Michigan, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin? So everything ran smoothly when your guy ran. Now it's election fraud. I mean, it's absurd. And shame on so-called progressive groups. If they find something that's actually like proof of a coordinated election fraud plot in multiple states that literally made the difference and gave the election to Biden over Trump, I'd be the first one to have egg on my face, credit them, and look into it myself. But I haven't seen any of that. And I've literally, last night before I went to bed, I literally looked into things in Michigan, things in Wisconsin, things that people were sending me from Pennsylvania. And it just looks like a lot of chatter and a lot of noise. So the biggest form of election fraud is actually not at polling places, folks. It's not mail-in ballots. It's the corporate media. They are who rig the elections. They did it this time against Bernie, and they did it in 2016. So, and by the way, somebody mentioned I'm talking about Nico. I'm talking about progressive outlets. Nico House is a fucking grifter. That's not a progressive. Didn't he just shoot like a documentary? He was in a documentary.
With Jack Posobiec.
Jack Posobiec, who's
OANN.
a alt-right lunatic. Like, I'm talking about actual progressive channels that are like trying to play into this, like, I'm more fire-breathing than you. I hate the Democratic Party more than you. So I'm more pure because I'm saying there was election fraud and that's why Biden won. He didn't really win. Like, I'm consistent. I don't just like, you don't just, because you hate the Democratic Party, and we know the Democratic Party is corrupt, say Biden didn't really win, it's all fraud. That's not journalism. That's being a crackpot. So shame on the people doing that. And frankly, if you want to troll us, that's fine. That means we're growing.
So music, not rumors. You're saying, who the heck are you, dude, to claim there is no fraud? We are not claiming that there is no fraud across the board. What we are saying is we have not seen evidence of fraud. What we are saying is these absolutely batshit insane. Let me open up my email here because I'm on all of the, I told you I'm on all of the lunatics' emails. And by the lunatic, I mean the current president. The left will try to steal this. This is Donald Trump's campaign emails. The left will try to steal this election. That's from Donald Trump. Then the Defend Michigan, the Trump Election Defense Fund President Trump was up big on election night, and then, almost as if it was magic, thousands of Biden votes were dumped late at night in Michigan with absolutely no overview. Insanity. None of that is true. Then Eric Trump. People know exactly what is going on in this country. It's fraud. There are ridiculous discrepancies in the votes all over the country. So my father has formed the Election Defense Task Force to fight back against this corruption. None of those things are based in fact. And
one of them is.
What?
So when because somebody responded to this somebody said this in a comment or whatever, like, Jordan, you just think at 4 a.m. in Michigan, Biden getting 100,000 votes
they
at
uploaded
at 4 a.m. in Michigan is an election fraud? No, it's called mail-in ballots. In this election...
Well, they simply uploaded the results.
Right. So in this election, ballots came in at different times. Across the country, they counted the day of voting first, and then they got to the mail-in ballots. So yes, there was large chunks, or they called it dumps. There was large chunks of votes for Biden or for Trump that were coming in at 3 in the morning, at 4 in the morning. It's not fraud. That's when they tallied and reported the results. The same thing happened. But the same thing happened for Trump.
Yeah.
There was late night. We
That's
just got
not
we
what
just
they're
got
saying.
Right. We just got a dump in Maricopa County. Trump got 20,000 more votes. Is that fraud because it happened at 4 in the morning? It's just ludicrous.
What these people are saying and have literally said is that Democrats are bringing in bags of votes and finding votes. They are not. What is actually happening when they when all of a sudden, like, Jake or John King or whoever will say, like, election alert, whatever, we have 100,000 new votes. That's not just like random votes popping up out of nowhere. Like these places, these counties or cities, like whatever, like these places, they have to upload. They count their results and then they upload them. They aren't just appearing. It's not magic, as freaking Eric was trying to say. It's not appearing out of nowhere. So they are presenting this narrative out of nowhere. So these supposedly progressive journalists, if they're so smart, tell me this. Why was Donald Trump and his crew, why were they presenting this exact scenario before the election? It's because they were priming the pump. They were trying to put this seed in everybody's mind that this is what was going to happen. Why was Bernie Sanders able to go on Jimmy Fallon and exactly almost word for word say that this was what Donald Trump was going to do? It's because this is what Donald Trump and the Republicans wanted to happen, just in case Donald Trump wasn't going to win. And I think they probably had the internal polling numbers that showed that it was going to be really close, if not losing. They needed to have this as a backup. And if they couldn't pull off these legal challenges, which it is not close enough for them to pull off these legal challenges, it's not like, the 500 odd votes or whatever, Al Gore versus freaking W. It's not that close. So the legal challenges aren't going to work. They needed a backup. They needed to paint this conspiracy theory and have people believe it. So they've been planting these seeds all along the way. So progressive journalists who are, now you're brainwashing your audience. You are telling people that these things are real, that they have been lying to people about before they happened. They didn't happen. They were presented as, oh, this is what's going to happen. Oh, now this is what has happened. Where is your proof? Where are your hard facts? You can't be a progressive journalist, a progressive reporter, a progressive commentator, and tell people that these things are happening when you don't have proof. You can't pretend to be such a smart person and literally take Donald Trump's pretend playbook and present it as fact just because you're trying to be the contrarian, just because you're so angry about the Democrats, just because you don't like Joe Biden. We don't fucking like Joe Biden. We don't like the Democrats, but we're not going to lie to our audience about it.
And the thing is, and by the way, we got 1,000 people watching. Smash that like button. We got 1,000 people, but 369 likes. So smash that like button. Thumbs up right under the live stream. I want to make this clear before we move on, because I'd like to bash the Democrats, and I know everybody wants to hear about the Democrat spin narrative that, oh, it's the socialists, that's why we're losing down ballot. There are two separate things. And frankly, don't trust Nico House. He's a complete liar. He's a grifter. He had his head so far up Tulsi Gabbard's ass, he couldn't see straight. Now he's doing like he's appearing in documentaries with alt-right lunatics. The guy's a grifter. I don't really give a shit if he does attack videos on me. He's lied about me publicly. He's a grifter. He's not a journalist. Secondly, there is a difference. Let me get this through your head. And I'm not trying to be condescending. I'm just being honest. I have covered election fraud. I was at the courthouse on the New York primary day in 2016. They purged 200,000 voters off the rolls in Brooklyn. I was there. I was the only journalist that was covering the New York election fraud. I was in Iowa this year covering the app, and that was fraud. Okay? I know what I'm talking about. There is a difference between a couple isolated incidents around the country. Some might be glitches in the software. Of course, Lee Camp has done great work on this. Election machines are open to be rigged and hacked. That's 100% true. So I'm not saying that's not true, that election machines can be hacked. What I'm saying is there's a difference between seeing isolated incidents in a county in Michigan or seeing an incident, here and there. And it might be suspicious, and yes, by all means, look into it. For example, I'd like to know the county in Michigan that flipped the votes from Trump to Biden incidentally, or they say accidentally, and then switched it back to Trump once they realized. There's apparently 40 or so other counties that use the same equipment that glitched in one county. So I will follow up to find out, did they review all the counts in those other counties? Did those other counties flip from Trump to Biden accidentally? That is legitimate to look into that. But there's a difference between finding isolated incidents, that's one thing, and then pushing a narrative, because that's what these channels are doing, Republicans and progressives, and pushing a narrative that there's a widespread conspiracy. That's what they're saying, that there's a widespread conspiracy in Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, Michigan, Georgia, Arizona, Nevada, all the states that Trump lost, right? That there's a widespread conspiracy, an intentional act in all these states to give Biden the votes of dead people, to literally ballot harvest, to create new ballots, to bar Republican legal observers, even though we were literally on the ground in Philadelphia 2 days ago, on the ground, talking to a living, breathing Republican legal observer who said, yeah, it's ridiculous. This place is packed with legal observers. There are plenty of Republican observers. They're not blocking Trump observers. They're blocking randos off of the street who want to come in because Trump is tweeting that they're not letting them in. That place was packed with legal observers, including Republican legal observers. How do we know? We didn't find it on Twitter. We were there. We spoke with them. To claim, as Nico and some others are doing, that it's just a fact. There's a widespread conspiracy all over the country that flipped enough votes from Trump to Biden. It's not journalism. Frankly, it's not even commentary. It's just conspiracy batshit nutso. And this is coming from somebody who doesn't like the Democratic Party. This is coming from somebody that knows the DNC rigged 2 primaries against Bernie Sanders. This is coming from somebody who, by the way, through Election Day was bashing Joe Biden. But some don't understand nuance. They don't understand that you can be against the corruption of the Democratic Party while also stating facts. Yeah. Here's the facts. Biden won the election, at least the general election, fairly.
Yeah.
Trump was a president presiding over 235,000 people dying. He wrongly tried to attack Biden as a socialist boogeyman rather than going after Biden on NAFTA, TPP, and his terrible record. Trump, honestly, would have crushed Biden in a landslide if not for COVID, in my opinion. And the exit polls we're about to read to you show it wasn't fraud. You want to know why Trump lost? He lost a lot of the white voters. He lost a lot of the older white voters that he had in 2016. Why? Because maybe older white voters don't like his handling of a deadly pandemic, which they are the most susceptible of. Trump also, which should be a shameful embarrassment to the Democratic Party, Trump increased, I have the tweet, Trump increased among black men. Let me get the tweet.
While you're waiting, smash the like button because it gets YouTube to show the stream to more people. If you're new here, hit the subscribe button and hit the bell for notifications so you see all of our streams.
Trump increased among black men by 5 percentage points. He increased among black women by 4 percentage points. He increased among Latino women by 3 percentage points. He increased among Latino men by 4 percentage points. That is embarrassing if you are the Democratic Party, and a huge warning for upcoming elections. In Texas in specific, a large reason Trump won was Hispanic turnout for him. This is a man building a wall around Mexico, and the Democratic Party is down 4% among black women, 4% among 5% among black men, 3% among Latino women, 4% among Latino men. You're not going to hear that in corporate media. So I'm done ranting. I think these other channels, unless you have actual evidence of something, like when I was in New York in 2016 at the courthouse, there was evidence. I'm talking about the New York primary. There was evidence at that point of tens of thousands of Democratic voters being purged off the rolls. It ended up being 200,000 that got purged off the rolls in Brooklyn. That was evidence. I actually interviewed people who were purged. I actually saw registrations that were not accepted arbitrarily. There was evidence there. That was one primary. This time in the Iowa caucus, with the app and precincts being reported, during the Iowa caucus this year, precincts being reported that they went to Pete Buttigieg, even though people were literally posting screenshots on Twitter of the vote tallies, caucus site to caucus site, going for Bernie, but they were given to Pete. That's evidence, right? Tom Perez, literally at the last minute during the Iowa caucus, trying to basically cancel out the satellite locations that Bernie did very well among Latinos in Iowa and this and that. I mean, it was reported on. That was evidence that they were basically trying, by any means necessary, to give Pete the optical victory. Bernie won more popular votes in Iowa. So there's a difference between evidence and Rudy Giuliani and Corey Lewandowski and 4chan and whatever other nutso. So I say, shame on so-called progressives who, because they're so pure and they're so much more progressive than us, and they hate the Democratic Party more than anyone else, that they are literally pushing batshit conspiracy theories and passing it off as journalism. Cringe.
Total cringe. I also want to point out, for those of you who are kind of fighting with us and yelling at us in the chat, you do not want to become the opposite of Russiagate. Like, you don't want to be those people, right? You saw how crazy they got. You saw how they lost their minds, these Russiagators. They didn't live in reality. They didn't look at facts. It was all a conspiracy. They saw Russia everywhere. They still see Russia everywhere. You don't want to be that. You want to look at facts. Maybe you do support Trump. It is hard to lose. It's hard to lose, but it happens. I also want to point out that I told you guys I have Breitbart alerts. Like, I am looking into this stuff. So you will have articles coming out like this. Investigators dispatched after Fulton County discovers issue with ballot reporting. So this is out of Georgia. So you might say, yeah, there's incidents coming out in the news. Well, first of all, Breitbart is not news. Second of all, you need to actually read this. So this is saying Georgia Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger, whatever, is issuing statements about this. So you can say, okay, that seems legitimate. Like, this is a real guy in the government saying this. No, he's a Republican who is complicit in this attempt to paint up a certain picture of what's happening. So you have to look at the players here. Who does it benefit to put these things out into the universe? Does it benefit Rudy Giuliani to tell you the truth about what's going on? Well, he might not even know what reality is at this point. Does it benefit Eric? Does it benefit Corey Lewandowski? Does it benefit Pam Bondi? Look at the players here. Who should you believe? Should you believe Jack Posobiec? Who does it benefit in Trump world? You don't want to be Russiagators. You want to look at the facts. And someone posted something about us having egg on our faces, we're going to look like a fool in the coming weeks. Okay. If facts come out, if proof comes out, we will shout it from the rooftops. That's fine.
But we're actually looking. It's not like we're just sitting waiting for others. We've looked into individual things, and neither of us who investigate for a living have found some widespread cabal. That's the point. And the last thing I'll say about this, because we want to move on to bashing the Democrats, is...
I want to say one more thing after you.
You also have to realize there's profit in conspiracy.
Yes.
Fox News, because they don't have anything else, literally profited off of a massive conspiracy theory about Benghazi, okay, for years. QAnon, a conspiracy theory. There's a lot of profit in that. Now, a lot of these right-wingers like Steven Crowder, a lot of these right-wingers like, Breitbart, InfoWars, all this, they got to keep the right-wing fear machine going because that's their profit engine. So since Trump is no longer going to be, well, he will be in the picture in some capacity, they got to figure out what's going to be the next Breitbart. What's going to be the next Benghazi? So they could run this, the election was stolen, for years and years and years. And they will, because they profit off of conspiracy. They profit off of hysterics. They profit off of big conspiratorial cabals. Some conspiracies are true. But I haven't seen any evidence that there's a widespread, across multiple states, conspiracy to flip. Really what you're talking about is millions of votes from Trump to Biden. And the truth is, in this massive conspiracy, what these people are losing sight of, Trump did incredibly well. He got the most votes of any Republican ever. He got 70 million votes. He increased his votes from 2016, even during a pandemic, which he is responsible for tens of thousands of deaths. He is responsible for many of those deaths. Instead of that message, instead of cheering the fact that they won seats in the House that they weren't expected to win, that they kept seats in the Senate that they were expected to lose, they're pushing this cockamamie fakakta conspiracy for profit. It's for profit. Roger Stone knows the election wasn't stolen. Rudy Giuliani knows the election wasn't stolen. Corey Lewandowski knows the election wasn't stolen. Breitbart. They know the election.
Ronna McDaniel, she knows.
They all know. They're just creating their next grift for profit. And if some of you in the audience, are that susceptible to propaganda, that's too bad. Because I'm going to call it, and Jen's going to call it like we see it, on a case-by-case basis. There's not any one thing. Not every election is rigged. Not every situation is a conspiracy. There is a deep state, that's for sure. I don't see any evidence that the deep state has undemocratically rigged or stolen the election from Donald Trump to Joe Biden.
Right.
You wanted to say one more thing?
Yeah, so I just, it drives me crazy that so many progressives have fallen into this contrarian trap. And I'm not even talking about contrarianism like Michael Tracy. He's just, he's drifting off to the alt-right or whatever. I'm talking about the fact that certain progressives are never happy no matter what. It's like a purist sort of mindset. And I'm not saying it in the way that Neera Tanden or Hillary Clinton would call certain progressives purists. I'm saying like someone was yelling at us for having voted for Joe Biden, even though we despise Joe Biden, simply because we opted to like want to get a fascist out of the White House. It's contrarianism to the point of you guys claiming that just because a Democrat that you don't like won over a fascist, you would rather say that the election was stolen. You would rather be on team Jack Posobiec and Cernovich and Ronna McDaniel and Corey Lewandowski. You'd rather be on that team than just like admit that a Democrat won.
I think you need to explain, because I don't think everybody knows who Cernovich, Jack Posobiec is, because I don't think they get it.
Okay, so let me break down the alt-right. Okay, so Mike Cernovich is, he got his kind of start of fame in Gamergate. I won't explain Gamergate to you. It's a whole mess. So from Gamergate, a lot of alt-right figures came out of that, including Milo, another alt-right guy. So Cernovich became even more popular in 2016 by latching onto the Donald Trump thing, the alt-right thing. Jack Posobiec, same thing. I can't remember who he used to work for. It doesn't matter. Right now he works for One America News Network, which is Fox News times 10. Now instead of pushing Fox News, Donald Trump is pushing One America News Network with Chanel Ryan, Jack Posobiec, like a bunch of extreme figures. I can't remember who else I named. I don't know. There's a bunch of people like that who are popular, who have a platform.
They've all been involved with Pizzagate and Gamergate
Pizza
and everything.
Gators.
Every gate you could think of, they've launched.
Yeah, interestingly, though, they were very, very like Brittany Pettibone. Cassandra Fairbanks, like she stayed away from Pizzagate for the most part. Interestingly, a lot of these people who are Pizzagators edged away from QAnon. Like that was a bridge too far for them. But these people, they make their money around this sort of thing. And they have to keep the drama going. Like they've hitched their wagon to Trump. They've hitched their wagon to the alt-right. So they have a vested interest in keeping this sort of thing going. And so what I'm saying is progressives would now rather latch on to what these figures are saying. Many of them do not believe what they are selling. They know what they're saying is not true, and they know it. They are simply making money hands over fist. It crashed and burned with poor Milo. Sorry about that, the Mercers. He went too far for even the Mercers. He was being funded by the Mercers. So it's a money thing. It's a grifter thing. And here they have some people out there, including some people in the chat, believing that this election was stolen because some progressives are so angry at the Democratic Party. The Democratic Party sucks. The DNC sucks. Bernie was cheated out of the election. The Democratic Party, Obama, Clyburn, they did coalesce around Joe Biden. It wasn't fair. Bernie should have won. Bernie would have won this election. It wasn't fair. There's voter suppression like crazy. Provisional ballots are meant to disenfranchise. Closing polling places is meant to disenfranchise African Americans, people of color, poor people. Our election system is broken. The Electoral College is a complete disaster. It's horrible. That doesn't mean that what people are claiming is true. So don't fall into it. Don't become a contrarian just because you hate the Democratic Party. It doesn't help anyone.
And by the way, last thing, I'm telling you what's going to happen. You're going to have all these grifters, Breitbart, Cernovich, all of them, that know this is not true. Rudy, what they're going to do, because there's going to be Stop the Steal rallies now popping up around the country. There might be organizations that pop up around this to stop the steal. And the media outlets, you're going to see from Breitbart. You're going to see from One America News, which is like just batshit. It makes Fox News look somewhat tame. You're going to see them doing hard fundraising pushes to save democracy. You're going to see them doing hard fundraising pushes to cover the rebellion, the new resistance against the steal. Breitbart, all of these media networks, InfoWars, they're going to be pushing hard for fundraising, for new signups to cover the steal. That's what I'm talking about. They go from one gate or faux conspiracy to the next. That's how propaganda works. And unfortunately, there's some so-called progressive outlets pushing this bullshit to their audience. Moving on to another form of propaganda, the Democratic Party.
Can I do some super chats?
Oh, I want to bash the Democratic Party.
Okay.
No, go ahead. Read some super chats.
Well, first of all, for those of you who got really excited when I mentioned the name Brittany Pettibone, calm down. We're not in 5th grade. And secondly, she just married a British neo-Nazi. So I'm really sorry to break that news to all of you. She is very pretty, though. Someone was having trouble signing up for a membership, which, by the way, you guys should all do. We have premium content on our Status Coup membership. Membership is how Status Coup thrives and grows. If you're new to us, we are an in-field independent outlet. We do investigative reporting as well. We've done a lot of reporting with Flint, the Flint water crisis, which most media outlets have totally forgotten. Most of America has forgotten, to be frank. We've gone all over the country reporting on extremely important issues like houselessness, the disappearing middle class, which Jordan has done a lot of work with. Of course, we did a lot of work with the primary. We've done reporting on the indigenous, the Proud Boys and the Trumpsters. And so from top to bottom, progressive issues, all kinds of issues that affect everyday people. We give the microphone back to the people, investigative work, in-field work. So with this membership, you get access to our members-only Discord where we chat about all kinds of topics, including politics, but also things like books and movies and music and whatever you guys want. And we do Ask Me Anything calls. So you get all of that and a lot more that I won't list here. statuscoup.com/join. So for the person who is having trouble, email me at info@statuscoup.com and we'll definitely figure it out, even if I have to set it up manually. So that's info@statuscoup.com for everybody else.
And sign up.
Statuscoup.com.
We need you. Sign up. Statuscoup.com/join. So can we move on to the Democratic Party?
Okay. I'll do my super chats
read
later.
your super chats.
Okay.
Read your super chats.
I'll keep the super chats coming. I do keep them in a file so I don't miss anybody. John Howe, 420. Love it. I love it. I got it. Status Coup, independent investigative journalism. Love it. Avo Bicado, $5 in the super chat. My fear is that too many people will check back out of politics with Trump on his way out. How can progressives keep the swell of enthusiasm going? I have the same fear. I really, really do worry because so many people were kind of awakened when they realized how bad things were under Trump. Like all of a sudden they realized, oh, black people, like police just like murder black people. Oh, let me like finish my brunch and I'll go hold a sign. Or like, oh, like maybe I can take a minute to like reshare this on my Instagram after I go paint my nails. Like those dumbasses finally realized that stuff was bad. So that type of person, like that comfortable MSNBC centrist, like liberal, I 100% think is just going to go back to sleep because they will think that, oh, everything's going to be okay now. Biden's back in office. Like he's basically Obama. They're not going to read about the kids in cages again. They're not going to read about the drone wars that will continue. I really have like a visceral anger towards people like that. Like it makes me so angry that they're like so comfortable living their lives and don't care about anyone else. Like they don't care that so many people are struggling, especially now in COVID where people can't pay their rent. Like Jordan just had $100 COVID test copay. And with no symptoms, like as we said at the top, we do it as a precautionary thing, like just to double check after we get back from
super spreader Trump rallies.
Yeah, like after we get back from a reporting road trip, we just do it to make sure. So for a poor person who maybe does have symptoms, goes in to do the right thing and gets checked, and then says, oh, you have $100 copay, or maybe they don't have insurance, so maybe their test is $200 or $300. No, they have to feed their baby. They have to buy formula. They have to buy freaking food. Like they have to pay the rent. They have to turn the heat on. It's winter coming. Like, no. So the centrist rich morons who watch MSNBC and like cry about Russia with Rachel Maddow, they're going to go back to sleep. So it makes me sad.
Thank you, Dan. $20. Not giving up. Neither are we. Neither are we.
Yeah, no, never. We will never give up. We're still going to keep going. We're still going to, we're going to cover Biden critically. We're going to cover the Democrats critically. That's what we do. We're going to continue giving the microphone back to the people, like fighting for the working class through our journalism. Sam Kane, $5 in the super chat. Oh no, you started it off by calling me Jennifer. That's like through my heart. Jordan calls me Jennifer like when I'm in trouble or when he like wants to annoy me. I think the word you're looking for is reactionary. Dems absolutely can become reactionary with enough stress. Yeah, I totally agree. Carla R, $10 in the super chat. Thank you so much. Baby kids, the lowest enthusiasm in history, yet Biden beats Obama's votes who had the most enthusiasm. It's called common sense. Jordan doesn't have any. Dude, like obviously we've said it 100 times. Hardly anybody was voting for Biden. They were voting against Trump. We've said it ourselves. We were not voting for Biden. We were voting against a fascist. It's not difficult, and we're not stupid. Like that's.
I have to say, and I've said this so many times, I'm tired of saying it because I just saw a comment. But you voted for him. I understand that extremists like you, whoever wrote that, because you are extreme. I mean, I'm just telling you, whoever's like trying to voter shame others who voted for Biden, your way of thinking is extreme. I'm telling you, like, straight to your face, through the internet. You are an extremist, and I'll explain why. If you don't understand that there is different levels of heinous figures, if you don't understand that when you have two extremely terrible choices, and one is a psychopath who's taking joy rides around the hospital with a deadly disease, and endangering others. If you don't understand that there's somebody who is walking into the White House still with an actively contagious virus without a mask, that is literally holding massive cult suicide events. That's what these we were just at an event with 10,000 people without masks.
Insane.
on top of each other. Trump holding those events, knowing people are going to die. If you don't understand that it's not about supporting Joe Biden. It's about who would I rather fight? If I have to fight one of these assholes, would I rather fight Joe Biden and Neera Tanden? Or would I rather fight Donald Trump and white militia groups, Proud Boys, QAnon, 4chan, Rudy Giuliani? This doesn't mean I don't think Joe Biden is a corrupt warmonger. He is. It doesn't mean that we don't think Joe Biden is a unique danger or threat. It just means I happen to think personally, and if you don't agree, that's okay. It doesn't mean you're a sellout or I'm a sellout. There used to be this thing in the progressive movement called discussion. Dissent is possibly okay. You're not a sellout for, not agreeing. Yeah, Biden is bad. I'm not a lesser of two evils thinker, but I do believe there are extenuating circumstances. I didn't vote for Hillary Clinton in 2016, and I got a hell of a lot of grief from my family, from my friends, from the woman I was dating at the time. I didn't vote for her because I didn't think. I thought that I live in New York, it's a blue state, and whatever, it's not going to make a difference, and Hillary Clinton is a criminal warmonger. And I hadn't seen what I saw over the next 4 years from Trump. But when I'm literally, when you're calling me a sellout, you're not at these fucking Trump rallies, pal, or gal who are saying this. When you're so pure and calling other people sellouts, you're not in the middle of maniac super spreader events where 10,000 people are packed like sardines, and the fearless leader without a mask is on stage reveling in it. Not a care in the world that people are going to get sick and die from these events. I'm sorry if I think that's just a tad bit worse than a country club Republican becoming president in Joe Biden. And if that makes me a sellout, then I'm proud to be one. And you're a fucking extremist. And I'm not going to be vote shamed by people on Twitter or in chats saying that you're a sellout because you voted against Trump. I didn't vote, Mike. You wimped out, Jordan. Mike, you're a fucking loser. Maybe not PC to say. You're an extremist.
It's true, though.
And I don't know if you're white, black, or the other thing. You have privilege. You have privilege. Because there's a lot of people that can't afford and don't have the privilege that you probably have for another 4 years of this maniac. And by the way, I'm a wimp and I'm a sellout because you're so pure. Mike, do you think Donald Trump was joking when he said, I want more than 2 terms? Do you think Donald Trump was joking that he would try to change the Constitution to serve more than 2 terms? Like, it just boggles my mind. People have such blinders on. Mike, you have such blinders on that you're so extreme. Like, the Democratic Party is evil and corrupt. Yeah, they are. But sometimes in politics, you have to look at the 2 individual people rather than just the parties. Yeah, Biden is a threat. Is it possible he'll launch a war? Yeah, it is. Should people fight him? Yeah. Am I naive enough to think we're going to move him left? No, I've told my audience that's bullshit. He ain't moving left.
No, yeah.
But do I think he's going to actively hold events that endanger people's lives? Do I think he's somewhat competent to lower the spread of the coronavirus, which not only is murdering and it is on pace to murder 500,000 Americans, but might create a Great Depression? Yeah, I do think he's more competent than Trump to do that. And if that makes me a sellout, then piss off. You're a loser, you're an extremist, and you're probably listening to extremists on YouTube too.
Yeah.
And I don't need you as a viewer or a subscriber. I respect if you didn't vote for Biden. I never told anyone to vote for Biden. The Young Turks was pleading with people to vote for Biden. I never said that. I say vote for whoever you want. Who the hell am I to tell you how to vote? I told you who I was going to vote for based on my personal calculation. So if I'm not pure enough for you, then go buy some Purell. Anyway, can we...
Well, yeah. So the reason I want to make it very clear that the reason we are bringing up the fact that some people are getting brainwashed and that some other like YouTube hosts or other people on the internet are leading people astray is, some people are like, oh, don't infight. Why are people infighting in the progressive world? Like,
because
why
those people aren't progressives.
Yes. So some people who purport to be progressives are not progressives. Some people who purport to have your best interests in mind are in fact just grifters. And I am very protective of the industry I work in. Journalism is what I live and breathe. Other than my children, Status Coup it's my 3rd child. Like, I value journalism and the work we do and like the people we cover, the topics we cover. It is incredibly important to me. So when I see someone out there spewing bullshit and putting out like lies and just misleading people for clicks and money, it makes me very angry. And I also hate seeing people misled. I actively keep an eye on conspiracy theories, on actual conspiracies. I keep my eye on what's going on with the alt-right. I keep my eye on what's going on with people worse than the alt-right. I keep my eye on what's going on with the left and the right and the centrists. And I try my best to understand people. What I cannot abide, obviously, like the white supremacists and stuff, like that's without saying, I cannot abide people who lie to good folks like you. Like, we promise to tell you guys the truth. We're gonna have takes that you disagree with. We're going to do things personally that you disagree with, but we're transparent. We lost subscribers by telling you that we both voted for Biden. As we said, like, neither of us voted for Hillary in 2016. We felt the stakes were too high this time. And I couldn't stomach it. I felt personally like I had to vote for Biden this time. And right now, I cannot stand to see other hosts out there telling you lies and trying to convince you that something is happening that is not happening. It drives me insane.
And the last thing I'll say on this, and this is a perfect way to wrap it, Censored for the Truth, $5. Status Coup is officially sold out. It's sad. Well, thanks for the $5. Hey, Censored for Truth, do me a favor. Why don't you go to Flint, Michigan 16 times in 4 years? Why don't you miss holidays with your family, miss your nephew's first year of his life, miss your niece's first year of his life, and go to Flint 16 times? Why don't you go to Standing Rock, North Dakota, and freeze to death in negative 20 degrees like I did, on and off, for 6 months? Why don't you go to Detroit and Ohio, where 15,000 workers were laid off last year after General Motors got a $51 billion bailout and no corporate media outlet cares to cover it? Why don't you go there? Why don't you go to Dallas, Texas, on your own dime and cover the murder of Botham Jean, a 26-year-old black man who was just sitting in his apartment and got executed by a police officer? Why don't you go to Portland, Oregon, or California, cover the Proud Boys rallies in person, cover the California wildfires? If you all are so pure and are so triggered that outlets you watch, you get triggered when they don't regurgitate 100% of the views you feel. If you want to watch something that regurgitates back to you your own beliefs 100% of the time, there's a couple networks. Fox News is one of them. OANN, MSNBC. Newsmax. If you, progressives, can't tolerate outlets you watch not agreeing with you on every single thing, if that makes those outlets sellouts, then I don't want you watching, and I don't need you watching. I'm not going to pimp myself out and distort my views and trade my integrity for clicks like 95% of people on YouTube do. I don't care if you think I'm a sellout. Honestly, I actually enjoy viewer criticism if I think it's actually like legitimate. I do think I talk too much. I do think I have an ego. I'm working on it. Maybe I cut off Jen sometimes when I shouldn't. No. There's legitimate criticisms to be made. Sometimes maybe we cover one story too much and don't cover another. But this whole notion that you're a sellout if I voted differently than you. Notice, I just saw a black man in the audience say, I'm a black man and I voted for Donald Trump. Okay, that's your decision. I don't agree with it, but it's your vote. Why would I shame you on it? Like, there's people who voted for Howie Hawkins this time. Great. I just don't understand it. It's really becoming a psychosis and a toxicity of people that claim to be progressives. Like, you're not as mad at Democratic Party as I am, so you're a sellout. Like, go away, losers. All right, let's get to
Someone
said
my eyes trigger them. What's wrong with my eyes?
Let's get to the Democratic Party corruption.
And by the way, it makes me really mad. Like, Jordan has like the biggest heart in the whole world. Just don't be mean. And my eyes are fine. Like, go away.
All right,
Someone said they just became a member because they appreciate our integrity.
Thank you. Sign it up. We definitely need more member signups. Welcome, new Status Coup member, Kelvin.
Yay, Kelvin.
Just signed up. New member, Kelvin. Join, be like Kelvin, and sign up. All right. So we kind of expected that Joe Biden, barely sort of squeaking by. This was not a landslide, folks. If Bernie ran, it would have been a landslide. Joe Biden narrowly won Wisconsin, kind of narrowly won Michigan. We don't have all the votes yet, but it's not a landslide in Pennsylvania. But the Democratic Party, Nancy Pelosi says President-elect Biden is a huge mandate. And we've already seen that Democrats, let's play this clip first, that Democrats are blaming their losses in the House of Representatives and the Senate on socialists. Let's play this clip.
House Speaker Nancy Pelosi says that she thinks Biden has a tremendous mandate, but Democrats in Congress are potentially looking at a smaller House majority and theoretically a Republican Senate. I want to play something that Virginia Congresswoman Abigail Spanberger said on a conference call of House Democrats this week that you, I'm sure, heard as it happened live. Take a listen.
We need to not ever use the word socialist or socialism ever again. Because while people think it doesn't matter, it does matter. And we lost good members because of that. If we are classifying Tuesday as a success from a congressional standpoint, we will get torn apart in 2022. And excuse the profanity,
I imagine you disagree.
So that was some neoliberal congresswoman who barely won re-election. She's claiming that the reason that the Democrats lost seats in the House, that the Democrats lost seats in the Senate, was because people ran as socialists and people ran on defund the police. I wish they did.
Right.
What Democrats that lost
my
were
God.
running as socialists? What Democrats that lost were running on Medicare for All, a Green New Deal, breaking up the big banks, UBI during the pandemic, getting the hell out of Afghanistan? Where are these Democrats they're talking about?
Yeah.
I didn't see any of them. Now I want to play a clip from Rahm Emanuel.
Well, do you have the list of that AOC put out of the wins?
No.
I'll find that with you.
Okay.
So interestingly, AOC put out a list, I probably most likely in response to this, showing that everyone who did run on Medicare for All won their seat.
In June 1999, wow, the trolls are showing up bigly. They are. We welcome the trolls. We love them.
We welcome your hate. Who said that?
FDR. So, by the way, we got 1,069 people watching. 775 of you press the like button. Smash that like button. Even if you don't like us, fake it. So let's play Rahm Emanuel, who should be in jail. As a mayor of Chicago, he presided over a criminal cover-up to cover up the murder of Laquan McDonald, who I believe was a 17-year-old black man who was shot 16 times, even though he was on the ground, lifeless, after 2 shots. He covered that up before election so he could get reelected. He now works for a Wall Street bank, but ABC has him on, no problem. They love Rahm Emanuel. Let's hear Rahm Emanuel.
States. One, progressives who ran on actual issues in swing states won. And so we're not talking about folks in New York. We're talking about people who just flipped these red seats, like Katie Porter, like Mike Levin, seats that we've never had before. They won overwhelmingly. And what I'm saying is that what I'm saying is no matter where we are, and I think we agree on this, Heidi, no matter where we are, let's talk to the issues. Let's not run away from them. And I think there was this expectation because Trump was such a vitriol character that we could win by just saying Trump is bad. And what I'm saying is serve the people in your district and find out what they need, and we can deliver that. The real fear I have, George, is 2022 is right around the corner. DFA got our first application for a candidate running for U.S. Senate yesterday for 2022. 2024 is around the corner. We're going to need our base.
Maybe, but I'm not sure anybody's ready to hear that.
It's scary. It does. It's right around the corner. And I know that we're going to be seeing maybe some presidential candidates for 2024 maybe starting to talk soon. And what I'm saying is let's not wait. Let's have that conversation now. Let's organize. Let's build our message.
But I think what
we're going to need our base to win.
I think what you're showing, you listen to Heidi, you listen to Vet, Rahm, is the difficulty Joe Biden is going to have both unifying the Democratic Party while reaching out to Republicans.
Yes and no. I actually think if you go back to the campaign, he did actually a very, very good job of keeping everybody inside. And actually, the truth is the progressive wing of the party was less ideological and more pragmatic, that we had an overarching goal. I also think, let me draw back, Joe Biden's a progressive. He said it. But there's a lesson to be learned what Jeremy Corbyn lost in England and Joe Biden won here in the United States. That you can make the first step in progressive politics being enacted is winning an election. You can, and I agree with Yvette about organizing, but organizing not just with it's either my way or not, being very and they were progressive. And when Joe Biden said in the debates, I beat Bernie Sanders, you didn't see Bernie Sanders yell or scream. He understood the singular goal is A, beating Trump, B, making down payments on progressive policies. They may be more incremental than some like, but nonetheless go there. And I do think Joe Biden, if he doesn't stay true to the coalition elected, if you're not authentic in today's politics, whatever you want to say about Donald Trump, and I don't like what he did to America, the reason his people showed up is they thought he was authentic. And if you can't be authentic, fake it.
Christie, you
Wow.
Oh my gosh.
I got a lot to say,
That's
so why don't you start?
Insane. Well, first of all, I want to give a very, 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 I'll keep saying very until I find it, a very warm welcome to new Status Coup member, Shirley.
Woo-hoo!
Hey,
Shirley!
We love you, Shirley.
Love
Join
you.
with Shirley, statuscoup.com/join. That was really something. So obviously we know like Rahm Emanuel is not an honest player. I have no idea why anyone still listens to him. I guess like the Obama orbit, like it's hard to fall away from that if you're a well thought of person, whatever. My
favorite part was when he's like, he is progressive. He said it. He is progressive. He said so.
He said it.
Yeah.
Well, and then when he's talking about Bernie, he's like, oh, well, like Bernie didn't fuss. He understands that this progressivism has to happen incrementally. And people love Donald Trump because they like, what did he say? Like his authenticity too, or something like that. It's like, no, what are you even talking about? Clearly, Donald Trump is not authentic. Maybe his people originally thought that, and some of his cult followers still think that. But why are you like his analysis of the whole thing makes no sense. It's as if you brought in a third grader to give political analysis on national television. None of it was good or solid, or there's nothing even really to pull from that. It's terrible. It's garbage.
First of all, I love how he says the lesson here, Jeremy Corbyn lost in the UK and Joe Biden won here. So the lesson is being authentic.
Oh my God.
No, Jeremy Corbyn lost because, I mean, I'm not from the UK, but Jeremy Corbyn, a large reason he lost is because literally, you think they were bad to Bernie here, the media? The entire media in the United Kingdom morphed Jeremy Corbyn into an anti-Semitic, fucking Che Guevara.
They destroyed him. Their media tore him top to bottom, planted the most despicable things about Corbyn imaginable. Chapo did a lot on this. I recommend going back to their stuff from back then. It's horrible.
But the other thing is, any objective person who's not trying to spin this, Joe Biden, in fairness, got the most votes of any candidate. Joe Biden did not win because people were loving Joe Biden and people were so inspired for Joe Biden. Literally, when I went out and I interviewed people voting for Joe Biden, I think I interviewed 2 or 3 people that actually were excited about Joe Biden. Literally every single person was voting against Donald Trump and would have maybe voted for a literal piece of shit. If you could literally register a piece of shit that you excrete from your anus,
oh my God,
they would have voted for that piece of shit. Literally, John Farina, our camera person, was out yesterday covering celebrations in New York City, asking the people celebrating, are you ready to fight President Biden? And every one of them shit-talked Biden. The people out celebrating Biden's victory.
oh my God.
Like, Biden is the luckiest motherfucker, excuse my French,
It's so true.
of any living, luckier than Obama.
He's the luckiest president in the world.
Biden barely won. Like, in the Electoral College, yes, it looks like he's going to get 307, whatever. But in a lot of these states, he won by 1% against an orange reality TV star who's presiding over the worst public health crisis in modern American history. And he barely is beating him in several critical states. Biden lost. Again, Biden lost. Where's that tweet that I had? He went down among black voters, meaning Donald Trump went up among black men. Donald Trump went up among black men by 5%. He went up among black women by 4%. He went up among Latino women by 3%. He went up among Latino men by 4%. And you're telling me that Joe Biden won because he's authentic? You're telling me that Joe Biden won because what? It's laughable. It's corrupt. And the corporate media is allowing that spin because that's what the corporate media does. But at the end of the day, Joe Biden did not win on policy. There were no policies he was running on. Expanding Obamacare? Obamacare was polling bad in many states. He ran on characters on the ballot, restoring the soul, all this nonsense. Joe Biden has Rashida Tlaib to credit for his victory. Rashida Tlaib and organizers and black activists got out. 94% of Detroit voted for Joe Biden. Why? Because Rashida Tlaib and other black women got the vote out. Got a lot of those black voters who did not come out for Hillary Clinton to come out and vote for Joe Biden. Not because they're inspired by Joe Biden or he's authentic. They wanted Trump out. Everybody knows that. Any objective person knows that. Yet, this is what we're hearing.
Just crazy. Like, I don't get this like ecosystem where all of these people still have jobs. Well, I do get it. It's all about money. These Rahm Emanuels, these Neritandans, like they're thrilled. They're not only thrilled because they wanted to get rid of Donald Trump. They're thrilled because they all get to keep their jobs or get new jobs. They're very excited about their new jobs. Some of them will get cabinet positions. Some of them will get new lobbying positions. Some of them will get new consultant positions. They're all thrilled, and they'll be brought on to cable news to continue to spew absolute bullshit that makes no sense at all. And to kind of go back to what we were, to circle back to the AOC thing, where they were saying that leftist, socialist policies don't pull. Jonathan Cohn, who I actually don't know, he's kind of like, he's a leftist on Twitter. I don't actually know what he does. But Democratic co-sponsors of Medicare for All who just won re-election in swing districts. Jared Golden, Ann Kirkpatrick, Mike Levin, Katie Porter, Susan Wild, and Cartwright. And then AOC tweeted, every single swing seat House Democrat who endorsed Medicare for All won re-election or is on track to win re-election. And then she emphasized every single one. So that flies directly in the face of what the Democratic establishment is trying to paint. So obviously earlier in this stream, we talked about the fact that the Republicans are trying to paint a certain picture, especially the more nefarious Trumpian Republicans. The Democrats do it too. No one's, absolved of wrongdoing here in politics. But the Democrats are trying to paint a picture of, Medicare for All is a loser. The Green New Deal is a loser. That's not true. We've referred to it, I think, probably 4 different streams at this point. But a frickin' Fox News viewer poll, these Fox News viewers prefer Medicare for All. They prefer work on climate change. They believe that racism is a big deal. They believe strongly in leftist policies, or at least a majority of them do, even Fox News viewers. So these Democratic consultants, these people in the Democratic world of lobbying and consulting and whatever, they are lying to the public to try to keep this going as long as possible, this facade that the public doesn't actually want Medicare for All. They want Obamacare, or now they want Biden care. They want access to affordable health care. Or what was the ridiculous way that Biden said it?
Biden said, you have a human right. You have a human right to affordable health care.
Ugh. Just the worst. These people are the worst. So it's going to be a constant struggle, I think. Now the squad is bigger. Now we have Cori Bush in, who I have such high hopes for. I love Cori Bush. I'm such, honestly, a fan of hers. I did some writing for her back when I did writing with Justice Dems. She's a great person, fantastic policy. She's a true activist, boots on the ground, demonstrator, organizer, protester. I have really high hopes for her. So the squad is expanding. And so my hope is that this message that the Rahm Emanuels of the world are trying to get out there starts to be overridden by the squad. We'll see.
The other thing is, this is not just this election thing. This has been the last decade or so. When corporate Democrats try to pretend that the Democrats that lost their seats in swing districts around the country lost because they were running on socialism or defund the police. First of all, they weren't. No Democrat that I know of was running for re-election in Congress or running for election in the Senate, running ads, defund the police, or I love Che Guevara, and these things. Those people,
Corey might have touched a little bit.
those people lost because they ran your classic neoliberal Democratic campaign, which was just get rid of the other guy. Perfect example. Actually, let me play this clip first so I could show you the nonsense that James Clyburn is putting out there.
Oh my God.
Let's listen to James Clyburn on why Democrats are losing.
All the seats, I've talked to people down in South Florida. They told me that really, really was a problem down there. But I can tell you about the 1st Congressional District of South Carolina. I really believe that that's what cost Joe Cunningham his seat. And I can also tell you about the Senate here in South Carolina. Jimmy Harrison started to plateau when defund the police showed up with a caption on TV right across his head. That stuff hurt Jimmy. And that's why I spoke out against it a long time ago.
Right.
I've always said that these headlines can kill a political effort. We are all about making headway. And I just hope that going forward, we will think about each one of these congressional districts and let people represent their districts. You know, Joe Cunningham could not get elected in my district, and I can't get elected in his.
Right.
So let's recognize that people should refer.
So what he's trying to say is if Jamie Harrison, who was running against Lindsey Graham, and there was a lot of hype that Jamie Harrison could beat Lindsey Graham. And at some point, I think Jamie Harrison even moved ahead of Lindsey Graham narrowly in the polls. That Jamie Harrison lost to Lindsey Graham because defund the police. Even though Jamie Harrison wasn't running on defund the police. Even though Jamie Harrison, like Joe Biden, came out strongly saying, I don't want to defund the police. Why did Jamie Harrison really lose down in South Carolina? Because his entire message, and I got his emails every day, was Lindsey Graham is terrible. Lindsey Graham is Trump's, puppet. They're attached at the hip. It was Trump, bad. Lindsey Graham, bad. What will I do? Tell you later. None of these people were running for anything. It's the classic lesson from Hillary Clinton in 2016. Joe Biden's extremely lucky that there was a pandemic because Joe Biden wasn't running for anything either. He was just running Trump terrible, Trump terrible. In this case, it worked because Trump is a truly terrible, unique person, unique threat. And there was a pandemic and people, if there wasn't a pandemic, I think Trump would have beaten Biden by a landslide based on the results. If there was no pandemic, Trump wins by a landslide. But Jamie Harrison didn't lose because of defund the police. He lost because he's not for anything. He wasn't for Medicare for all. He wasn't for free public college. He was for incremental bullshit, bullshit, bullshit. It's the same thing with these candidates in the swing states that these people are ranting about. Oh, they lost because of socialism or defund the police. No, they didn't. None of them were for anything. They were just trying to ride on this message, tying their opponents to Donald Trump and extremism, but not bold visions. And as AOC pointed out, you sent me the text, I believe, Democrats who ran on Medicare for all and won, Democratic co-sponsors of Medicare for all who just won re-election in swing districts.
I just read that.
Oh, you just read it? Okay.
Yeah, but they didn't see it.
So Jared Golden in Maine ran on Medicare for all, won. Ann Kirkpatrick in Arizona ran on Medicare for all, won. Mike Levin ran on Medicare for all, California, won. Katie Porter ran on Medicare for all, won. Susan Wild, Pennsylvania, won. Matt Cartwright, Pennsylvania, seems on track to win. A lot of these areas are swing districts. But they ran on something, proudly on Medicare for All. They won. And guess what? A Fox News poll. Time to become a member. Can you send me the link?
Ooh,
Absolutely.
absolutely.
Right there.
Statuscoup.com/join.
Statuscoup.com/join.
You get so many fun things, including access to our members-only Discord, where I post behind-the-scenes photos and videos. And actually, I got some stuff from the trip to post, so that's really fun. We have a lot of fun in there and talk politics. We talk other stuff, Ask Me Anything members calls, which we should probably have one coming up soon. Lots of fun. So statuscoup.com/join, $5 a month.
So all of this, a Fox News poll. Let me repeat. Fox News poll just came out. 72% of Fox News viewers were for, they called it a government-run system. That's Medicare for All. Do you remember when Bernie Warren slammed him for going on Fox News and having a town hall with Fox News? When the Fox News moderator of the Bernie town hall asked the audience, a Pennsylvania audience, by the way, swing state, supposedly they don't want any socialism or progressive things. Hey, raise your hands if you want a government system. Almost every single person raised their hands. This is how manufacturing consent works. This is how propaganda works. There's findable facts, there's findable data, findable polling out there that show, actually, if these people would be running on progressive things, they'd actually be winning. But because they only run on my Republican opponent is terrible. They try to tie the Republican opponent to Trump. They lose because people don't generally vote for knockoff Republicans. They don't generally. If you're going to vote, why don't you just vote for the real thing? If Democrats are going to consistently run as Republican lights, why would I vote for them? I'll either vote third party, I won't vote, or I'll vote for the Republican. That's how people generally vote. That's why Democrats, during a pandemic, how many people went to the ballot box, voted for Joe Biden for president, but voted for a Republican for Senate and Congress? Once we have the data, a lot of people all over these swing states that voted for Biden because Trump was so objectionable. He failed on coronavirus that they literally voted for Biden, but then voted Republican down ticket because the Democratic candidates weren't offering anything. That's not a victory, Mr. Emanuel. Mm-hmm. That's not a victory, James Clyburn, who, by the way, I know this is not PC to say, he's a complete corporate sellout.
Absolutely.
He takes more money than just about any congressperson other than Nancy Pelosi from Big Pharma. That's why he's against Medicare for All. And not that it's election fraud. He swung South Carolina to Joe Biden. Mm-hmm. Biden wasn't winning South Carolina by 30 points, if not for James Clyburn.
Yeah, it's not election fraud, but it's not democracy. It's old school, smoky backroom deals. It's not what we're all about. So, do you want to read some super duper chats? Tanya H, 10 euros in the super chat. Please, America, reform the way you hold your elections. It was very painful to watch CNN for 5 days. I absolutely agree. I think even though they certainly have their issues, the UK does it better. What they have 5 days or whatever, from start to finish, and that sounds much better. I don't know, and I think we need to move to a system of perhaps ranked choice voting, or certainly away from the Electoral College. We have a lot of reform to do, but the issue is there's a reason that we have just two parties, really, only really two parties in contention, and it's going to take a heck of a lot to get the powers that be to move away from our election system because it's all based on money. So, I don't know. You have any thoughts?
Well, I want to show you one more clip. This is from This Week with George Stephanopoulos. Take a look at this. This is former North Dakota Senator Heidi Heitkamp, who, by the way, a corporate Democrat sellout, did nothing for the Native Americans at Standing Rock as they were getting shot and all that. She's being rumored to become Joe Biden's agricultural Agriculture Secretary.
Ooh. Well, before you play it, let me remind people, if you are new here, subscribe to this channel and hit the bell for notifications. We're trying to get up to 100,000 subscribers. The way YouTube is suppressing us because we're independent and they favor corporate media, whatever, blah, blah, blah. So subscribe to us. Once we get over 100,000 subscribers, we think that YouTube will start to feature us more. So subscribe on your account, get your friends and family and cats and dogs to subscribe. Also, keep the super chats coming. You viewers are the reason that we are able to report in field, that we're able to do investigations. And you can also support us by becoming a member, statuscoup.com/join. And wow, another new member. Welcome to Status Coup, Carla.
Woohoo! Carla!
Yay, Carla.
So far we got Carla, Shirley, Kelvin.
That's so exciting.
Join Carla, Shirley, and Kelvin. And by the way, when you become a member, Jen's talked about it, but when you become a member, we'll send you the link to join our Discord so that we have a members only Discord that's going all day long.
Which, if you aren't familiar with a Discord, it's basically a mixture between like an old school chat, a forum, and like a Slack. So you can just type and chat with each other. There's a voice chat, there's a video chat. It's cool, it's good, it's fun. So another thing, what else was I gonna tell you? It was something, it was definitely something. I don't remember. But join us, statuscoup.com/join. Oh, so yesterday, actually, Status Coup, when John went out, John was out yesterday after Biden, it was declared for Biden that he was going to be our next president. John, our freelance cameraman, coming right off of our trip to Philadelphia, he went right out to New York City and was filming the celebrations in the streets. And he happened upon Chuck Schumer, good old Chucky Schumer. And he asked Schumer a question. Schumer answered it, and it got picked up by a New York Times guy on Twitter. And so today it's actually like Ted Cruz is talking about Schumer's answer, and Steve Scalise, and like it's on a variety of different news outlets, and on and on and on. So Status Coup made national news. So, and is like currently being talked about in Congress and stuff like that. So that's because of you guys that we were able to send John out there. So keep it up. Keep those super chats coming. Keep the GoFundMe's coming. We'll pop the link in there, and keep joining as a member. Just $5 a month, statuscoup.com/join. The more funding we have, the more we can go out, the more investigations we do, and the more impact we can have. So, we love you all. Keep it up.
So let's hear what this corporate sellout had to say.
Heidi Heidkamp, can the president-elect reach out to your state, North Dakota, reach out to that broad swath in the middle of the country that has gone deep red?
I'm going to give you a proof point for what Matt's just saying. 65% of the people in North Dakota think climate change is a problem. We're a big fossil state, we're a conservative state, but yet they see climate change as a problem. They get concerned when they see radical ideas being introduced to completely upend the energy system, because that creates angst in their mind, both economically and in terms of cost of energy. There is a place that you can go in solving these problems that speaks to all sides and does not radicalize important issues in this country. We saw that with the pandemic, which was incredible how masks got radicalized and politicized. We need to stop doing that, and we need to come together, and both sides have to address the concerns that the other side has on solutions for this country. You know, the unity that we have is really unity about what the problems are. It's bringing together solutions that can bring everybody together so that we can walk together and solve America's problems.
I think we have to start out by bringing you and Yvette together.
Yeah, well, she just said radical 3 times. You just called the base of the Democratic Party, progressives, radical. That is not, I mean, that's a Republican talking point. Progressives want everyone to breathe clean air, even people in North and South Dakota. We want everyone to have health care, even people in rural areas and even people in working class white America. We want everyone to have a chance at the American dream. We're not saying leave people out. We're saying bring people in. But if parts of our party, when we bring home the bacon, as we did just yesterday, call us radical like Republicans did, that's not the starting place of a good family conversation.
One level set here is Well, one level set is Bill Clinton's budget in 1993, which was his economic plan, Barack Obama's health care bill, got over the top by two senators, different senators from Nebraska. You got to be able to, as Matt and others, you got to be able to run in places and win in unexpected. That's number one. Number two, you said to George early on, lessons. A red state, Florida, that voted for Trump, and I hate saying this red state, voted for Trump, but voted for an increase in the minimum wage. In Illinois, where I'm from, voted for Joe Biden and against a progressive income tax. California, a very blue state, voted against workers' rights for gig employees.
That was an awful initiative, though,
okay,
the way it was written.
But the point is, life is complicated, and to get the threads here, you're going to have policies that actually bring votes rather than push those votes away.
Your thoughts?
Oh my God. This is infuriating. It's so out of touch, and it's condescending too. It's like these are what Yvette is talking about. These are good, solid policies that the American people stand before. These are policies that other countries have and have had that are actually like not even progressive there, that are just normal, like even conservative. And yet Rahm Emanuel is condescendingly presenting it as pie in the sky crazy and totally unreachable. I don't know if he actually believes that. I think it probably has more to do with money and the people he surrounds himself with. Maybe he's convinced himself of that after all this time of being in that world. But the fact that he is so condescending and honestly such a dick about it, like I want to punch him in the face. Not really, CIA, like not really, it's just a joke. But that's disgusting.
First of all, I think it's pretty radical during a deadly pandemic to remain on a position of for-profit healthcare. Mm-hmm. I think that's pretty radical.
Yeah.
That you, Heidi Heitkamp, Rahm Emanuel, and others are sticking by a position, even before the pandemic, but during a pandemic, that creates a barrier to life if you don't pay for coronavirus treatment.
Yes.
I had to pay $100 today with health insurance for a coronavirus test. Let me repeat that. I had to pay $100 for a coronavirus test, and I don't have symptoms. It was just for a precaution. That's radical. It's radical that these people stand by a immoral for-profit system because they're corrupt. It's radical that the United Nations has told us, this was years ago, so it's even worse now, that we only have 12 years left until irreversible damage to the planet. And these people are talking about, it's like your house is on fire, and Heidi Heitkamp is saying, well, we don't want to disturb the neighbors by trying to put out the fire. Let's not disturb the neighbors. That's radical. Let me tell you something. I've reported in North Dakota, if there was a Democrat like Bernie that came out with a plan to radically shift away from fossil fuels, but still employ all of those oil and gas workers in North Dakota and Texas, and make sure that they have money coming to them as those industries shift, make sure that we have a transition for those workers to wind, solar, and clean energy, the workers of Texas and North Dakota would be for it. They're not married to fossil fuels. They just need a stable income to support their families. These people are radical, but our corporate media, through manufacturing consent, has made us the radicals, not the people standing by for-profit healthcare that is killing people. There are people that will not get the COVID test because they can't afford any copay, much less a $100 copay. There are people that won't go to the hospital because they can't afford the treatment because it ain't free. These people are radical. And the other thing is, when Rahm Emanuel says, like he pointed out Florida, for example, says life's complicated because Florida voted for Trump, meaning they voted for the Republican, but on the ballot measure, they had a ballot measure for $15 minimum wage. So he's basically saying people have different, people compartmentalize. Not everybody's pure progressive or pure anything. I got news for you, Rahm Emanuel. if you had a candidate running as a Democrat that was for Medicare for all, that was for a Green New Deal, that was running a bold, visionary campaign, they would have won Florida and defeated Donald Trump. And the ballot measure for $15 minimum wage would have passed. If you don't run on anything other than the other guy is bad, yeah, generally conservative areas, because Florida tends to be more Republican, is going to vote for the Republican. If you don't give them anything to vote for, if your whole message is characters on the ballot and Trump is an existential threat, yeah, they're not going to vote. You're not going to get enough votes to win. But they might be for certain policies. Same exact thing on the other side. Biden won all these primary states, frankly, because the media drilled people with, he's the electable one, he's the safest, Bernie would lose in a landslide. But even though Biden won those primary states in the Democratic primary, every single one of them said they were for Medicare for all. In the exit polls, majority support for Medicare for all in all of the Democratic primary states, even though they voted for Biden. Well, why did they vote for Biden? Maybe because the media gave him $100 million of free advertising between South Carolina and Super Tuesday. CNN, MSNBC, they were like literally a pep rally for Joe Biden for 4 days between South Carolina and Super Tuesday. That was very helpful to Joe Biden. Exit polls on Super Tuesday showed his voters, half of his voters decided in those final days. What were they looking at in those final days when they decided to vote for Joe Biden? CNN, MSNBC, the New York Times, the Washington Post prostituting themselves for Joe Biden. I mean, it's not that complicated. Of course, Rahm Emanuel knows this. They all know this. But they make money. They're consultants. They work for Wall Street banks, like Rahm Emanuel I think he's a consultant for a Wall Street bank. It's such intellectual dishonesty. And how this stuff continues is you have people like George Stephanopoulos who just sit there like a mannequin and don't challenge them on any of this bullshit.
Yeah, absolutely. Just got a little notification that no one cares about. Do you want me to read some more super duper chats? We've had some coming in. Keep them coming in. Smash that like button if you haven't yet. And subscribe, and hit that bell for notifications. And by the way, text COUP to 370-370. Get out your mobile phone right now. Text COUP to 370-370. YouTube is really bad about sending notifications when we're live. So if you do that, text COUP to 370-370. You can get a text notification when we stream next. So many amazing super chats coming in. We really appreciate you guys. Keep them coming. Lana Del hates the clock. $5 in the super chat. Green New Deal includes job guarantee. I need to send you an email, but please contact Dr. Pavlina Cherneva. Thank you for the pronunciation guide, Lana. You know that we're bad about pronunciation for an interview. Yeah, definitely send me an email, info@statuscoup.com. Ava Landgren, $9.99 in the super chat. Thank you so much. Let's see here. George E, the squad, LOL, good luck with that. You know what? Like, I do understand the criticisms of AOC. She's certainly not perfect, but she's certainly not evil and horrible like some progressives, in quotes, are trying to paint her out as. Again, it's become like the cool kid progressive host thing to do, and again, I use progressive host loosely, to like shit on AOC, and no, that's ridiculous. Like, why? Call her, criticize her for what she deserves to be criticized about. But if you're like not happy with AOC, Ilhan, Rashida, Cori Bush, Jamal Bowman, like, I don't know, maybe you're like a communist, like maybe you're more left than them. That's fine. That's okay. Like, we can all have differences of opinion, but don't act like they're like bad people or that they're not progressive, because like as far as what our country defines as democratic socialism or progressivism, they do fit the definition. That doesn't mean they'll always vote the way that you want. That doesn't mean you'll always agree with them. But again, there's nuance and there are differences of opinion. So just because some progressive host gets on and tells you that AOC is bad, I know Jimmy Dore, who I think is great. I consider Steph a friend. Just because he gets on it and tells you that AOC is bad, it doesn't mean, like, we all have brains. We can decide for ourselves. So it's okay. We can have differences of opinion. Felipe Fernandez, $14.99 in the super duper chat. Helgast Merck, $5 in the super chat. Thank you guys so much. You guys do good work, but please be careful if you go to any more Trump rallies. Some of them are pretty crazy, and they might try to cause harm. Absolutely. So the Proud Boys rally that I went to in Portland, I don't know, last month I guess it was. Before I got there, they were literally beating up journalists. So I knew that going in, that would be the case, that they'd be kicking out journalists, and I didn't know they'd be physically assaulting them, but they were. So I went in with a plan, and that was to blend in and to play dumb. And I played, a role, and it worked out okay. So when we go into these situations, we do have a plan, and we do have exit plans, and we do have I had a bulletproof vest, for example. There's a whole story behind that. But also, John was watching my back later that night when we were at the, there was a Black Lives Matter march. There was a situation when we were at a Trump rally where, there were guns on both sides. This is dangerous sometimes. We were just in Philadelphia, where our hotel was literally right next to where a QAnon supporter and a Vets for Trump, the Vets for Trump creator, brought an arsenal of guns and tactical gear, and were planning to shoot up the ballot counting in Philadelphia. We were reporting right there, and we were staying right there in the hotel. And there was bomb threats called in. We are acutely aware of threats, and we made the choice, for example, the other day, to not go back out on the streets of Philadelphia to report because of those dangers. So we do take calculated risks, but on some occasions, we don't want to do anything stupid. So absolutely, we appreciate the caution for sure. Let's see. Aku Kami, $5 in the super duper chat. Did you notice that before, when it was a red map, they were starting to blame the progressive wing? I didn't. I can see that happening. I can imagine, absolutely, if Trump had won again, that the blame would have landed squarely on the progressives and on Bernie. And I was kind of readying myself for that in a way. And I was ready to get really angry. And I was actually really angry when Bernie, he meant well, but he was going out and putting his life on the line. Let's get real, Bernie's an old man. And he was going out and campaigning for people who hate him and wish him ill. And he was going out and campaigning because he believed that strongly in defeating Donald Trump. And he was putting his health and his life on the line. And these people would have smeared him, slammed and smeared his supporters and us. And threw us all under the bus. Absolutely. Completely
Right.
believe that.
I think that, honestly, it's all a grift. If Trump would have won, they would have blamed progressives. The fact that Biden won, but Democrats did poorly on the House and the Senate, they're blaming progressives. Anything that goes bad, they blame progressives. Because what else are they going to do? Are they going to openly admit, maybe people don't like neoliberal, milquetoast, incremental politics? Are they going to admit, we, really don't stand for anything? They're always going to blame somebody. We played you the clip of that congresswoman in the leaked audio claiming Democratic candidates should never ever mention the word socialism again or defund the police. None of them are. Mm-hmm. None of the candidates that she's talking about that lost were running on socialism or defund the police. And part of the grift is there's Democratic Party consultants who make their living as consultants or pollsters that cherry pick information to then feed to candidates to make them think, you'd be winning or you'd be polling even higher, but being for Medicare for all, that's a vulnerability in this area, this district. Being for a Green New Deal, that's a vulnerability. That's a vulnerability. That's a bad thing in your district. When in reality, it's not. But that's part of the whole DNC racket. They got consultants, and that's their gravy train, feeding this neoliberal garbage. If you go down issue by issue and you just remove the labels, remove progressive, remove conservative, remove neoliberal, remove whatever, and you just go issue by issue, all these progressive issues poll incredibly well, are gaining majority supports. Some of them are gaining majority supports among Republicans. If you changed it from defund the police to like, you know, cutting some of the police budget and shifting that money towards more social workers, more hospitals, more this and that, it would poll a lot higher. The polling industry, certain phrases don't poll well, where others do, but underneath the phrases, they mean exactly the same thing. So this is the Democratic playbook. We're going to see this for the next 2 years before the midterms, when AOC and Bernie and Rashida Tlaib and Ilhan Omar and Jamal Bowman and Cori Bush and Ro Khanna and Pramila Jayapal and any progressives push Biden on Medicare for all, these kind of things, they're going to say, no, we can't do those things. Remember, we beat Trump because we were centrist. We beat Trump because the country is center right. That's what they're going to tell you. No, you beat Trump because Trump. You didn't beat Trump because of policies. You didn't beat Trump because of, you know, anything other than people wanted Trump out. Mm-hmm. Almost 5 million more people wanted Trump out that wanted Trump in. It had nothing to do with Obamacare with a public option or any policies that Biden is pushing, because he ain't pushing any policies. And the Democrats are already lowering expectations. Oh, we don't even think we'll be able to get a public option through, since the Republicans are have the Senate. So, and we're not naive, folks. We're not going to tell you. Progressives could do whatever they want. We could have protests. We'll cover them. You're not moving Biden left because Biden ain't in control. We live in the United Corporations of America. Mm-hmm. The donors are in control. You could do whatever you want, but you're not going to move a Republican like Biden left. If he didn't move at all during the Democratic primary or the general election, what makes you think he will move left as president? I mean, the Young Turks might be selling you on that garbage that we're going to fight him and we're going to move him left. You're not moving him left. We'll be lucky if we can prevent him from moving further right.
Yeah, I think he will move further right.
How you move the country left is not through convincing bought-off corporatist warmongers like Joe Biden. You have to threaten the donor class's wealth. Mm-hmm. I'm not talking about being violent. Of course we're not talking about that. But you have to threaten the real presidents. Biden is just an employee of Goldman Sachs. Mm-hmm. Biden is just an employee of the fossil fuckers. Biden is an employee of big pharma, big real estate, Silicon Valley. That's what all these people are. Even Trump. They could only go so far. Why do you think it is that Kamala Harris jumped onto Bernie's Medicare for All bill when she was thinking about running for president? Then she launched her presidency. She did a town hall with CNN where she said, I'm for getting rid of private health insurance. What happened? Wall Street was very angry with Kamala Harris. 24 hours later, she moonwalked the hell away from Medicare for All. Meaning, you don't move the politicians. You gotta threaten the donors' wealth. Well, how do you do that, Jordan? Well, no disrespect to Black Lives Matter, no disrespect to the Sunrise Movement, no disrespect to any of these important organizers and activists. I do think it's important to have bodies on the ground protesting. Awareness is key. But if you don't join at the hip, if you don't join the bodies on the street with economic protest, meaning boycotts, strikes, divestment campaigns, if you don't actually affect the capitalist class's wealth, their quarterly profits, their ability to do stock buybacks, their ability to get massive bonuses, if you don't threaten the wealth through some, I don't know if it would be a general strike, but some types of strikes, then you're gonna continue to have people walking around in circles protesting in New York City, DC, and all over the country. Maybe you'll get minor changes here and there, but the way you get real change is if you threaten Jeff Bezos' wealth, Bill Gates, the Waltons, McDonald's CEO. I could go on and on.
Yeah, absolutely. And I actually, on the question of whether or not Joe Biden will go left, no, he won't. I actually think for sure he will go right. And I even think there were probably deals, backroom deals, to get those righties, those conservatives to back him so hard. They aren't like actually fighting for the country and like doing things out of the goodness of their hearts. They want things. So for sure he's gonna go more left. I do believe strongly. So we have some more amazing super chats. So great. Riley Rage, I wanted to point this out. Build brunch better. I think that's really cute. John Howe, $5 in the super chat. So let us, peaceful, smart, tactical protest, show and run to avoid the kettle, plus same with strikes and product boycotts.
And by the way, it's not easy. What I'm talking about is very hard. It's not like a slam dunk. But imagine for just a second. If people stopped wasting their money on losers like Amy McGrath,
Yeah.
all this money that got donated to Amy McGrath and other resistance hacks, what if we all put in a national pot of money? Every one of us donated 10 to 20 bucks, those who could, right? And that money was going specifically for Amazon workers. What if everybody put in 10 to 20 bucks for Amazon workers all over the country? That way, they could strike. And that money would go to each individual Amazon worker. It might not make their entire amount of salary, but at least they would have something to fall back on, right? That other ways of making workers feel they can strike. Money that could go into a pot so that they could afford health care if Amazon were to threaten their health care, like General Motors threatened their workers' health care when they struck. But everybody has to do it, not just progressives, everybody. You put in 10, 20 bucks, you keep refilling the pot so that workers have money so that they go and strike. If you had workers strike for a week of Amazon, 2 weeks, maybe a month, you'll see change in this country because Jeff Bezos will demand it for the politicians. Well, Jordan, devil's advocate, there's tens of millions of people out of work. If you do this and the Amazon workers strike, Amazon will just get desperately unemployed people in to replace them. Yeah, you have a point. That's true. There will be strike breakers who go in to work desperately. That's why we need to raise as much money as humanly possible so that nobody would go work for places like Amazon. So that those strike breakers who would go in, for better or worse, we pay them off too. But this takes serious class solidarity that we have not seen in this country, maybe ever. So it's not enough just to organize protest campaigns against politicians. We got to start thinking about how do we organize economic solidarity? How do we fill in the gaps for others that might put their livelihoods on the line? And it ain't just Amazon. I'm talking McDonald's, Burger King, Walmart, Whole Foods, you name it. And they strike until their employers guarantee their health care. They strike until they have higher wages. They strike until they get paid for overtime. They strike until their employers contribute to their child care. And they strike until our government gives us Medicare for all. It's very difficult to do this. But if you get enough people, you get tens of millions of people to do something like this. And by the way, that's just one idea, everybody putting money into a pot. Maybe there's other people with even better ideas. If everybody were to strike paying rent, there's so many different ideas, but we have to be willing to take the risk. And why this is very hard is most people can't afford to take that risk. They can't strike. Who's going to pay their rent this month? Who's going to make sure they have groceries for their kids? Who's going to make sure their kids have health insurance? How many of us are miserable in jobs, but we need the health insurance? So a big part of this is changing psychology. And I don't see that with these protests. There's been some success off of Standing Rock and other environmental protests. We've had divestment campaigns against these banks. and organizers have forced banks to remove, I mean, you're talking millions and millions of dollars from fossil fuel projects and this and that. So it is possible. There are divestment campaigns that work. But we're so busy sharing hashtags on Twitter and protesting on the streets. But protesting on the streets, the capitalist class, the United Corporations, they'll just wait you out.
Or put up a BLM sign in their window.
As long as you're not protesting outside their mansions or yachts, all right, you want to protest down Times Square, go ahead. The police will rough you up. We're not being threatened. I'm talking rich people feel that way. So this is what we need.
That was good. And the people agree with you. Guess what, Jordan?
What?
Look at this.
Oh, another new Status Coup member.
Yay! Welcome, Mike.
Mike.
Yay!
So we've gotten Mike, Carla, Shirley, Kelvin, John.
And actually, 3 of our new members today have joined with the annual option, which is an
Right.
incredible
Awesome.
option.
An annual, we have different levels. You could do $5 a month, $10 a month, $20 a month, or become an annual member. We love all of you equally, obviously, but annual definitely helps us get more upfront. So.
And truly, you guys are the reason that we're able to report in the field, that we're able to stream, that we're able to do investigative reporting, which, by the way, we're working on something really, really major on the investigative end. So thank you guys so much. And plus you get amazing premium content as well. Access to the members only Discord where we chat and have a great time, talk politics, talk other stuff. Ask Me Anything member calls where you get on and ask Jordan and I questions. We reveal way too much info. We have a great time. Statuscoup.com/join. It's great. We're getting so many awesome members today. So many great super chats. Subscribe to this channel if you're new here. Awesome, amazing. You got a great comment that I copied down. Apologies if I mispronounced your name. I really am sorry. I don't even know how I would attempt this. Pioneer, sorry. This is one of the best live streams I've ever been involved in. Wow, I didn't know Jordan understood worker strategy so well.
I say this all the time.
Well, he's new, I think.
Oh, you're new. Okay.
Or she, I don't know.
Yeah, there are a lot of new people here, so okay. Yeah, no, I've been saying this forever. And honestly, as a journalist, I got to be honest with you. It's frustrating to me because as I'm out covering all these Black Lives Matter protests, climate protests, all these protests, I'm going to be there. I'm going to cover it. But as a journalist, I'm going to cover it. But as a progressive who just has traveled the country, I know the corruption. I know how to peel back. I know the corruption, not just at the federal level. It's rotten all the way down to the PTA. I'm telling you.
The PTA.
And I just know when I'm covering these protests, I don't want to say they're not doing anything. They are doing something. But it's only one half of the picture. It's only like 50% there. If you don't combine the protests, like Occupy Wall Street, with all those people blockading Zuccotti Park and all that, that was a start, but imagine if all those people and all the people supporting them from all around the country, maybe even the world, you had the people blockading in person, but also all these people were pulling their money out of banks. We're pulling their money out of Amazon. We're pulling their money out of name your thing. Weren't eating fast food. That's how you take over. That's how you defeat the United Corporations of America, through bodies on the ground, but wallets too. Your wallets. That's all. That's the only. Plutocrats, they're not blue. They're not red. They're green. They care about green. So if you threaten their gravy train, if you threaten their quarterly profits, if you threaten their company's image, if you threaten that they'll make a lot less, they don't care about 10 years from now. They don't care about 20 years from now. They care about right now. Are you going to threaten my ability to buy a third yacht this year? Are you going to threaten my ability to have a $20 million bonus?
Oh my God, yeah.
This is what they care about.
Well, you've brought it up a couple times, but I think it's the perfect example, the Washington football team.
Yeah. Washington football team, formerly a Native American slur. The owner a couple years ago says, I'm not changing it. Over my dead body am I changing the name. What happens? You got organizers. I think the Black Lives Matter moment that we're in helped. but you have a lot of a pressure campaign, organizers pressuring FedEx and other sponsors to the Washington football team. And FedEx and other sponsors, through pressure of organizers, through economic pressure, told Washington football team, we're pulling our money. We're not going to sponsor the team unless you change the name. Change the name. I mean, right now it's just called the Washington football team. But point is, plutocrats, rich people, they listen to public pressure if their profits are threatened. It's really not more complicated than that.
Yep.
So I think we need to start realizing as a progressive movement, we could circle around blocks till we're blue in the face. And I don't want to be a white guy. I'm not telling Black Lives Matter what to do, of course. It's a black-led movement. Same thing with indigenous movements. It's not for me to tell you what to do. I'm just saying overall, protests overall, if you don't add an economic boycott to it, you're only going to get so far.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, let's start lightning round before we go because it is getting late.
Okay, so lightning round keeps super chats coming. Let me read through other ones we have. John Howe, $5 in the super chat, saying exactly. Thank you. Let's see. Andrew G saying we need Zoom meetings here too. Well, the Zoom is through the membership. So I can't remember if you're a member already or not. If you're not, Andrew, statuscoup.com/join. And we do the Zooms through there. Zoo Feathers, $5 in the super chat. Where is Al, Mr. Gore? I don't know. Where is he? He's probably like doing some environment thing. I don't know. What does he do anymore?
Stitching hemp. I don't know.
Okay, we read that one. Let me catch up to where I was before. Catching up. Okay, Timothy McDermott, 1999 in the super duper chat. The identity politics is gross. I understand the prominence of Harris, but that should not excuse her record. Mainstream is sickening. That's an important point. I think a lot gets lost in the fact that people are rightly excited that she's the first, female vice president, and she's the first one of color of, she's black and Indian, and that's really, really exciting. But it has to move beyond identity politics. It can't be, we can't be afraid to critique her policies or her work simply because she's a woman or a person of color, or because she's black. She's not a progressive on the level of Bernie Sanders. She's not a true democratic socialist, no matter how the right wing tries to paint her as being like more left than Bernie. That's simply not true. We cannot forget her record, which is horrendous. She's put a lot of people, a lot of black people, in jail, and she's been not a true friend of justice. And I think that will get lost for a lot of people who are just so excited about this win, about defeating Donald Trump, and about the fact that she happens to be in the White House. So I think progressives will catch a lot of crap, a lot of grief for bringing up anything to do negative with Kamala Harris. But we certainly won't back away from any valid, constructive criticism.
Listen, she's corrupt. White, black, glow in the dark, doesn't matter. She doesn't stand for anything. Do I think it's a good thing that a woman is finally in the White House as president or vice president? Yes. She ain't the woman for me. It's not my fit. I wouldn't have voted for her. Mm-hmm. But it is historic nonetheless, even though she's corrupt.
Yeah.
Jennifer Cohen, wonderful comment.
Oh, I like this comment.
Jennifer Cohen writes, Jordan, I'm rich. Can I support you? Jennifer.
Why, yes, you can.
Let me take my glasses off for this. Jennifer, we are more than happy to accept wealthy investors, wealthy donations, wealthy anything. Mm-hmm. We have been scrapping. We only had a small investor in the beginning, $50,000. It mostly went to equipment.
Yeah.
It was a viewer. So we're not like anti-wealthy people. There's a lot of good wealthy people. Wealth is not the crime. Corruption is the crime. Using your wealth as a weapon to keep other people down and keep hoarding for yourself, that is the problem. It's not people who are wealthy. Ben and Jerry are extremely wealthy. Mm-hmm. They're amazing people. They use their wealth for philanthropic things, and they're entitled to have nice houses and things like that. There's nothing wrong with being wealthy. The problem is when you use your wealth and power to buy off politicians, to buy off basically the entire political system, and deprive others of even a chance. So Jennifer, if you're wealthy and want to invest, donate, email info@statuscoup.com. But there are strings attached. No matter how wealthy you are or how much money you're going to offer us, a donation to Status Coup or even investment, you do not get any editorial control over Status Coup. And that would be put in writing. Not that we wouldn't ask for somebody who's supporting us, ask their opinion on something. Are there certain stories you're interested in?
Yeah, well, we ask that, all viewers can
we
email
care,
us stories.
But I would never, and the guy who did invest with us at the beginning never did. I would never, ever have someone dictating how we cover things, what we cover, because we'd be no different than corporate media then.
Yeah. Yeah.
But support, and we think we could make investors a good amount of money. We just haven't had any major investors because we're not corruptible. Feel free, info.com. We'd be happy to talk.
Yes, and Jennifer to Jennifer, I think it's a good idea.
Yes.
So and that's exactly the thing. We're not corruptible. We are very serious about our journalism, and we care so much about truly giving the microphone back to the people of this country, and that's what's so great is our work is because of you guys. Whether it's $5 or some people have given $1,000 or even more, it's because of all of you, and we thank all of you, no matter how much your support comes or what form it comes in.
D. Lawrence, Jordan is a rich kid from the Upper East Side. I'm from the Bronx.
He's not from the Upper East Side.
Lawrence, I'm from fucking Long Island. I grew up.
Don't you hear his accent?
I grew up in Long Island. I wasn't rich. I mean, I was middle class. I had tutors, but I wasn't rich. My parents are never going to retire. They're going to be working till they're dead. They own a small business. I lived on the Upper East Side for a couple years. Yeah, I worked in media. I was making decent money, but I wish I was rich. I wouldn't work 7 days a week if I was rich.
Jordan turned down a very, very, very good media job due to personal conviction.
Yeah, when I was at the Young Turks, I got offered double the pay at a corporate outlet to go to that corporate outlet, and I turned it down. So maybe I should have took it since TYT threw me under the bus. But that's neither here or there. So, I'm not rich, but thank you. Thank you for that.
Okay, so...
Christina, $5. Just discovered you and subscribed.
Yay.
Love what I've seen so far. Hope to become a supporter when my financial situation improves.
Yay.
Woo-hoo.
Thank you, Christina.
And by the way, we totally get it. There's a lot of people that just, right now, they can't financially support. That's okay.
Yeah.
Share. If you can't financially support, you could share our live streams, subscribe, tell your friends, tell your family. Check us out. We're not only for progressives. We cover a lot of things.
Yeah, we even have Trump supporting.
Yeah, sometimes
people.
I get comments from Trump supporters I don't agree with you on anything, but I like your style, I like your integrity, yada, yada, yada. So we got something for everybody.
We sure do, except for losers who yell at us. No, we do like constructive criticism. We just don't like losers. Let's see. Every time I close my notes, it restarts me. I'm so sorry, guys. Let's see. We have se puede. I learned that in Nevada. I hope I said it right. $5 on the super chat. Jordan with a 100 symbol. Don't make perfect the enemy of good. Thank you for your level-headed journalism.
I voted for Joe Biden. I trust me, I'm not.
No, they're complimenting me that you don't. Carl Knight, $10 in the super duper chat. You two kicked ass this week and every other week for that matter. Thank you, Carl.
We love you, Carl.
We do. Carl, you're such a good viewer and awesome person. I am B Jammin. Or I'm B Jammin, I think it's supposed to be. Wow, the trolls are showing up bigly. That's for sure. We've had an uptick in viewers, and with that has come trolls. And sometimes, I think because of the Trump coverage, we've had some MAGA people. Fish Market just became a member because this is one of the only channels I feel will hold this new admin accountable. Absolutely, Fish Market. You can count on us for sure. In fact, we're itching to hold this admin accountable. We are prepared to do so.
And by the way, I think another reason to become a member, other than this administration, we cover a lot of things outside of D.C. You know a lot of outlets that have gone to Flint, Michigan still? that are still covering the water crisis in Flint, Michigan 6.5 years later, that cover environmental pipeline fights out there in the field, that have been covering Black Lives Matter protests before George Floyd, Breonna Taylor. I mean, we cover a lot of things that are totally not day of politics, the Trump administration, the Biden administration, and honestly, covering those things in the field, it doesn't go viral. They're not trending topics. You know, we go places others do not. Other corporate media do not, and frankly, a lot of independent media don't cover.
Yeah.
So you're not just supporting us as members so we could hold Biden accountable. It's so that we could keep important stories or show you important stories that will never see the light of day elsewhere. That's part of why you should support us.
100 million % for sure. Brian Whitaker, Delaware is the home base of the major corporations. He will do nothing. So I'm from Delaware, and that is absolutely true. Delaware, for those who aren't familiar, has very good tax laws for businesses. So you'll find a lot of your faves, like the Clintons, have businesses that are registered in Delaware, meaning they simply have like bank accounts in Delaware, like business addresses in Delaware to take advantage of the tax laws. And Joe Biden and friends are very entrenched in that world. So there's definitely a lot of digging to do in Delaware for sure. For sure. So we will be on that. Faint Signals from Vega asks, is it possible to have a raffle of some kind under that other thing you started up so you can do that? I have no idea what you're talking about, except for I can say that there are very weird rules around running raffles. So we have to look into what kind of raffle we could run, except I have no idea what you're talking about, so I don't know what kind of raffle you want us to run. So email me at info@statuscoup.com and we'll see if we can figure it out.
Yeah, if you guys got ideas, email us, info@statuscoup.com.
And
we
then
do need to wrap very soon.
Oh, okay. Okay, so let me find where I left off again. Oh my gosh, it is so hard to find. John Howe, $5 in the super chat. If the scale for extreme is circular, the weight is felt in how the circle is held together. I don't know what that means. And the froggy. I like the frog. I don't know what you're talking about though. Thank you, John. Pancho, $4.99 in the super chat. Jordan, just remember that Joe Biden's record is much worse so far than Trump. It is a fact. We do need to be a little bit extreme to change things.
Well, first of all, Joe Biden has a 40-year record. Trump has a 4-year record. So I don't really know, like, apples to oranges. It seems like apples to oranges. Yeah, Biden has a much longer record, so you could say it's worse. But it's not just about the record. It's about psychopathy. Like, I don't think people... Again, I don't want to relitigate and argue, but like, it's not just about somebody's record. There's no disagreement here about Joe Biden or his record. I'm talking about, if I personally think, what kind of person am I if I feel that the president who's up for re-election is a psychopath and I just look the other way to that? You might say, well, Biden's a psychopath too. Okay, that's fine. But I think Trump is a real psychopath. I think Trump has a thing for authoritarian dictatorships. I don't think Trump was joking when he said he wants to serve more than 2 terms. So it's not about that Biden has a good record or a less bad record. Of course Biden has a terrible record. That's why I don't understand why you don't understand that people aren't voting for Joe Biden. They're voting against Trump. I just genuinely don't understand why that nuance is lost on people. Because, you know, a lot of people would say Trump and his racism, the hate crimes that have increased under Trump, the emboldening of white supremacist groups, yeah, that makes Trump's record pretty bad. And I think a lot of people that are like so fixated on calling me or others who voted for Biden sellouts are not intentionally, but losing sight of the unique threat that Trump is. I just don't understand why you don't see that. I also don't, like, if Trump's reelected, you're sure he's not going to start a war without having to worry about reelection? You sure he's not going to Round up immigrants? More so? Are you positive? So, anyway.
Wow. Ha! Okay. We just got an amazing email. I'm going to read it. Hold on. Oh my God. You can read it if you want. It's funny. I just don't know if you want me to read it.
Dino, I've recently discovered you guys, and I wish to pay for your amazing services. I love the idea of more partisan hacks telling people to vote for the corrupt Dems and lie about Trump. You are hacks and massive liars. You're not better than Biden. MAGA will take over. Losers go get AIDS and perish. Okay.
Nice.
Thanks for that.
Just super nice.
Awesome.
Okay, so we have some more super chats, and then I have more good news. Actually, I'll do the good news first, the other good news first. We have yet another amazing new member. Welcome, Status Coup member, Brittany.
Woohoo!
Yay, Brittany. Brittany, join with Brittany. Brittany's amazing. Brittany's about to get access to incredible premium content, our members only Discord, the next Ask Me Anything call when we do it next. It's going to be super fun. You guys should join too. statuscoup.com/join. You guys should join only because we just got that Looney Toony email. Make us feel better. statuscoup.com/join. We by the way, we don't not get emails like that infrequently. I don't know. I just use like 3 double negatives. We get emails like that, like on the regular. It's crazy. There are so many Looney Tunes out there. I know a fat guy, $10 in super chat, nice username. Is it better to have a president you know is wrong, or a president who is unlikely to do what is needed for future elections? Is it better to have a president you know is wrong, or a president who is unlikely to do what is needed for the future? Well, I think like both are obviously bad. If you're talking about Biden versus Trump, so I assume you're saying like Trump is obviously the one we know is wrong. That is bad. The president who is unlikely to do what is needed would be Biden. That is also bad. Both things are bad. But if you add fascism to the president you know is wrong, that one is clearly worse, if that breaks it down. Louise Brooks, $10 in the super chat. My lib friends with Trump derangement syndrome have so much anger and disdain for Trump voters. They don't get that people voted for reasons besides racism. Mainstream media keeping us divided. I think that is an important point, and I strongly believe, I know a lot of folks may disagree with me, I do not think that all Trump supporters are racist. I definitely don't think that. And part of the reason I don't think that is because I've done a lot of reading and a lot of digging and a lot of soul searching, a lot of thinking about the psychology of Trump supporters. So I definitely think a lot of Trump supporters are racist. That's without question. It's really horrible. Trump has empowered white supremacists. Trump has empowered the alt-right. Trump has empowered those who may have given a dog whistle before to come right out and say it and do it and be horrible. But then there are the people that Trump tricked with populist promises, with policies that they really thought could help them, with things that they thought, as working class people who were really struggling, they thought he was their answer. He appealed to people who truly were tired of establishment politicians, who didn't want anything like a Hillary Clinton, who didn't want anything like a George W. Bush. They were tired of the establishment. And then some of those people got sucked in. Some of those people got so sucked in that they became literally brainwashed. And some of those people are now in the QAnon cult. Some of those people are so deeply entrenched in Trump world that they are essentially in a Trump cult. So I don't think all Trump supporters are racist. I don't know what the answer is about, those people who are essentially in a Trump cult and still think he's the answer and still think that Democrats are Satanists eating babies and stuff like that. I don't know what the answer is for them because they're not going to accept this election result. We are completely divided. It's horrible. It's not out of the question that there's violence still coming between the two sides.
A lot of Trump supporters are closet progressives and would have voted for Bernie Sanders. So no, they're not all racist. Democrats didn't give them something to vote for, and Donald Trump was a phony populist who hoodwinked them. That's the truth. We do have to wrap, though.
Okay, so we just have 99 cents from Dimitri. Thank you, Dimitri. You're always awesome. JKid196, $5 in the super duper chat. Email me back. I think I did. We just got one coming in. Detroit Microsound, $5 in the super chat. That sounded how a used condom looks. Okay, I don't know what you're talking about. Sounds gross, but okay. Okay, thank you guys. This has been amazing. Once again, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell for notifications. You definitely want to check us out at our next stream. Text COUP to 370-370 again, so you are notified when we go live again. YouTube will not notify you regularly, so definitely text COUP to 370-370. We love you all. We're so glad the election is over. Trump can keep golfing, and like eventually Biden will just be in the White House, and then we can hold him to account, and we'll keep trucking along.
Back at it tomorrow.